Okay, here we go. So as I was saying, I hope that you're doing amazing. I hope that you are going or enjoying this week to the fullest. For today, I decided that we're gonna be doing something. Okay. So what are we gonna be doing? I was thinking, since we have been talking about stress and health and all these different things, I came up with the idea that I wanted you guys to write your own short story about stress. So, and that's not the only thing. That story is going to be recorded. So we're going to have living proof that that actually existed, okay? So the way that it's going to work is the following. We're going to go over first an online article that I found that I think it could be very useful. It's a little bit lengthy, but it could be very useful in regards to how to write a short story. And after that, I'm going to be giving you some time to write a short story. And then, well, then I will let you know. But first, we're going to get the story in a way going. Okay. So let me go ahead and share with you. Well, not share with you, but share my screen with you so you can actually see the article that I'm talking about. Okay. Okay, here we go. Okay, can you see my screen by now?
Yes, teacher.
Thank you, Tani. Okay, so here we go. So to write a short story, this article it talks a lot about things, but I really like that it mentions about 6 different tips or pieces of advice that we can actually follow to write a pretty clear and a pretty good short story. Okay, so let's go one by one. I'm gonna be reading, but I'm also gonna be asking you to read, so it's gonna be like a combination of everything. So the first one is identify a short story idea. Before you can put your head down and write your story, you first need an idea you can run with. Some writers can seemingly pluck interesting ideas out of the thin air, but if that's not you, then fear not. Here are some tips and tricks that will help you, that will get your creative juices flowing and have you drumming up ideas in no time. Okay, start with an interesting character or setting. Ale.
Start with an interesting character or setting. Short stories, by their very nature, tend to be narrower in scope than a novel. There's less pressure to have an originality made up from A to Z before your pen hits paper. Short story writers so often find it fruitful to focus on a single character, setting, or event, an approach that is responsible for some true classics. John Cheever's The Swimmer is about one character, a suburban American father who decides to swim through all of his neighborhood pools, while Shirley Jackson's The Lottery has a larger cast of characters. The story takes place perhaps over 1 hour in a town square. By limiting yourself to a few characters and 1 or 2 locations, you may find it easier to keep your story from getting out of hand and spilling off into tangents.
Thank you. Mind your own anecdotes. When it comes to establishing a story's premise, real life experiences can be your first port of call. Write what you know. As the old adage goes, while you might not have lived through an epic saga akin to Gulliver's Travels, you probably have an anecdote or two that would easily from the basis of a short story. If there is a funny story, you always reach for it at a party or a family dinner. You could repurpose for a piece of writing or let it serve as a launchpad for your imagination. Faudi.
If eavesdrop and steal, there is beauty in the mundane. Writers these days often have a document open in their phone's notes app to remember things that might spark their imagination at a later date. After all, something you overhear in a conversation between your aunties could be perfect short story fodder, as could a colorful character who turns up at your workplace. Whether these experiences are the basis for a story or function as a small piece of embellishment, they can save your imagination from having to do all the heavy lifting. It's not just your own life you can take inspiration from either. Pay extra attention to the news, the stories your friends tell you, and all the things that go on around. It will surely serve you well when it comes to brainstorming a story. These little snippets can serve as the genesis of a story, or could even make it a verbatim as inspiration for your dialogue. Want more dialogue writing tips? We've got a free course for that.
Thank you. Okay, Dani.
Try a greeting prompt on for size. If you're still stumped, looking through some short story ideas or writing prompts for inspiration, any stories that are written with these resources are still your intellectual property, so you can freely share or publish them if they turn out well. Once you have your idea, which could be a setting, character, or event, try to associate it with a strong emotion. Think of short stories as a story of feeling rather than a full-blown plot. You can hone in on an emotion and let that dictate the tone and narrative arc. Without this emotion core, you may find that your story lacks drive and will struggle to engage the reader. With your emotionally charged idea ready to go, let's look at structure.
Thank you. Okay, number 2, define the character's main conflict and goal. You might be tempted to apply standard novel writing strategies to your story, intricately plotting each event, creating detailed character profiles, and of course, painstakingly mapping it into a popular story framework with a beginning, a middle, and end. But all you really need is a well-developed main character and 1 or 2 big events at most. Ale.
Short stories should have an inciting incident and a climax. A short story, though more concise, can still have all of the narrative components we'd expect from novel. So the setup, inciting incident, and climax might just be a sentence or two. As Kurt Vonnegut would say, writers should aim to start our stories as close to the end as possible. Taking this advice to the extreme, you could begin your story in medias res, skipping all exposition and starting in the middle of the action and sustaining tension from there on in. What's most important to remember in that short stories don't have the same privilege of time when it comes to exposition. To save time and make for a snappier piece of writing, it's usually better to fold backstory into the writing action.
Thank you. Faudy.
Each sentence should escalate the tension. Another effective short story structure is the pitch-theme curve, which also skips over exposition and the inciting incident and starts with rising action. Typically, this part of the story will see the main character meet and overcome several smaller obstacles, with exposition snuck in, crescendoing with a climax. This approach encourages writers to craft tension-packed narratives that get straight to the point. Rarely do you want to resolve the main conflict in the middle of the story. If there's an opportunity for tension, leave it open to keep the momentum going until the very end.
Thank you. Tani?
Don't be afraid to experiment with structure and form. So, short stories by design don't really have the time to settle into the familiar shape of a classic narrative. However, this restriction gives you free rein to play around with chronology and point of view, to take risks and be experimental. After all, if you are only asking for 20 minutes of your readers' time, they are more likely to go along with an unusual storytelling style. Classic short stories like Flannery O'Connor's A Good Mind is hard to find, did so well precisely because O'Connor redrew the parameters of the Southern Gothic genre as it was known, with its cast of characters, artfully sustained suspense, and yet shocking, gruesome ending. Want to get creative with point of view? Check out our free course to master the concept and pick the perfect perspective for your story.
Thank you. Okay, let's go for this is the last part we're gonna go over. So you're gonna start writing your story. Hook readers with a strong beginning. A lot writes on the opening lines of a short story. You'll want to strike the right tone, introduce the characters, and capture the reader's attention all at once. And you need to do it quickly because you don't have many words to work with. There are a few ways to do this. Let's take a look at the options. First, start with an action. Starting with a bang, literally and figuratively, is a surefire way to grab your reader's attention. Action is a great way to immediately establish tension that you can sustain throughout the story. This doesn't have to be something hugely dramatic like a car crash, though it can be. It can be as small as and simple as missing a bus by a matter of seconds, so long as the reader understands that this action is in some way unusual. It can set the scene for the emotional turmoil that is to unfold. Let's start with an insight. One highly effective method for starting a short story is to write an opening hook. A hook can seem an obtuse word, but what it really means is a sentence that immediately garners intrigue and encourages your reader to read on. For example, Mrs. Dalloway, originally from a short story, Virginia Woolf opens with the line, Mrs. Dalloway said she would buy the flowers herself. The reader then wonders, who is Mrs. Dalloway? Why is she buying flowers? And is it unusual that she would do it herself? Such questions prompt the reader to continue with interest, looking for answers. And last but not least, start with an image. Another popular way of opening a story by presenting your reader with a strong image. It could be a description of an object, a person, or even a location. It's not to everyone's taste, especially if you love plot-driven stories. But when done well, a well-drawn image has the ability to linger on the reader's mind. Let's go back to our example of Shirley Jackson's The Lottery. This story opens with a vivid and detailed description of a village. The morning of June 27 was clear and sunny, with the fresh warmth of a full summer day. The flowers were blossoming profusely, and the grass was richly green. Though this description seems to be setting the stage for a pleasant, light-hearted tale, the lottery actually takes a darker turn, making this opening image of an idyllic summer stay even more eerie. When this story was published in the New Yorker, readers responded by sending in more letters than for any story that had come before. That's how you know you have made an impact, right? Okay, guys, so as you have seen, there are many things that you need to do or not to do that you can consider when writing a story. Okay, so in this case, at the beginning, they say grab or start using a story, okay, like an idea for the short story. What I'm hoping for you is to talk about a character. It can be one, it can be two, it can be three. You choose how many. I would recommend one because we don't have plenty of time. We have some time, but we're not gonna have like hours and hours. So I would recommend one. And the idea is this is a character that goes through a lot of stress. Okay, so you're going to choose what is the situations that this character is going to go through that actually are stressful to him, her, or it. Okay, until something happens one day. Okay, so this is a character that was either very stressed out all the time until one day something happens. Okay, so you're gonna talk about this and you're gonna end on this part. What happened to this character? Okay, that's pretty much. You're gonna start with the story, whomever it is, or whatever it is, and the stress, all the things that this character goes through that are very stressful until something happens. Meaning this event is gonna be major, okay? Because it's gonna create like a change, like a life change. However, you're going to end the story and in this event, like when this event happens, okay? Questions? Clear?
Teacher, sorry, I don't understand the last part.
Okay, for example, let's say that I'm gonna write a story about Fulgencio. So I'm gonna say that Fulgencio, I wanna start either with any of the tips that they're giving us in the reading, and after that, I'm gonna say, okay, yes, until like, however, on, I don't know, today's April 18. However, on April the 18th, Fulgencio had to experience the most difficult event of his life. Such event was that he had to, something like that, okay? So you're gonna talk, it's gonna be the character, you're gonna describe the character. Who is this character? Okay, so we as readers can fall in love with the character. The idea is that the character goes through a lot of stressful situations, but there is one day that there is a major stressful situation, like something super big, super stressful, okay? And that's where you end. Okay, better.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, it's like those movies that you're expecting, like something happens, and you're like, oh my God, and they finish the movie there. So you know that there's gonna be another movie that talks about this. So that's the thing, but you're not gonna do the other movie. You're gonna finish in that part that happens like a lot of stress to this character, and everybody's gonna be like, oh my goodness. That's where you stop. Okay? Clear?
Sorry, teacher, but
Yes.
didn't you say that in the end, like there was a solution, or no? It's
No.
like,
No. You're going to stop. Like Fulgencio goes through these stressful situations, and there's this major stressful situation, and then you're gonna talk about what is this situation or how Fulgencio went through it, but you're never gonna you're gonna stop there.
okay,
That's the ending.
okay, thank you.
Okay, you're most welcome. Okay, any more questions? Nope. Okay, well, if you don't have any more, still, I'm gonna be here the whole time. So if you don't have any more questions, then I'm gonna let you work on it. Okay. I was thinking to start to give you around 30, I was gonna say 30 seconds, I don't know why, to give you 30 minutes. So it's already almost, it's 6:26. So at 6:56, we're gonna check to see if you have been able to finish with your short story. Okay. So I'm gonna be here, of course. So if you need any help, if you want me to help you out in any way, let me know because I'm gonna be here. But yes, that being said, you can start writing. Okay, so guys, did you were you able to stop in the main event of your character? Did you stop there or did you get there?
Yeah, teacher.
Okay, so this is what we're gonna be doing now. For the next stage, you will send your story to a classmate, okay? In that case, for example, it could be Ale to Tani or Ale to Fauri. We're gonna decide that in a second. And that person will explain, well, not explain, will, following the story, like the storyline, the person will show how this main event changed the main character, okay? So how, like what changes happen within the main character because or due to this event, okay? That is the second stage. Questions? Nope. Okay, so let me go ahead and show you the way that it's gonna work. Okay. Wait, just a second. Okay, let me share my screen with you. Okay, by now you should be able to look at my screen. Can you see it?
Yes, teacher.
Okay, awesome. Okay, so what we're gonna be doing now is we're gonna be deciding on which person is gonna be writing what specifically, okay? So do I have any volunteers? This is just random volunteers. Do I have any? Okay. Then, since I have no volunteers, I'm gonna be volunteering you. Okay, the way that it's gonna work is this way. The first person that appears here on the screen is gonna be the person that is gonna be writing the ending, the ending of Alice's story. Okay, Alice, so you will send your story to this person. Wait, why does it appear like that? Oh, well. Okay, Fauri. So Ale, you will send your story to Fauri. The idea is that everybody helps in a way. So Fauri, you will be sending your story to Tani. And Tani, you will be sending your story to Ale. Okay? That's the way that it's gonna work. So again, Ale, you send it to Fauri. Okay? Then Fauri, your story, you're gonna get Alice and you're gonna work on Alice. But your story, the one that you wrote, Fauri, you will send it to Tani. So Tani can finish it. And then Tani will send the story that she wrote to Ale. So Ale can go ahead and finish her story. Okay? Clear.
And we have to write the story, teacher.
What do you
How
mean?
it ends.
Okay, yes, exactly. For example, Fauri, in your case, you're gonna be writing the ending of Tani's story.
Okay, thank you.
You must not, yes, let me see, yes, no. Fauri, you'll be writing the ending of Ale's story because Ale will send that to you. Okay, that's the
Okay.
one. So you're going to read what Ale wrote, and based on the events, on the main event that happened in the story at the very end, you're going to explain how, of course, you're going to be the character. You're going to follow the same narrator. And based on that, you're going to explain how this character changed because of these events that happened to him, her, or it, or they, them, because we don't know which pronoun it identifies with. Okay, so that's gonna be like that. Again, Ale, you send it to Fabri, so Fabri finishes writing how this last event changed your character. Then Fabri, you send it to Tani, so Tani can finish writing yours. And Tani, you send it to Ale, so Ale can finish writing your story. Okay? Questions?
Teacher, sorry. We need to write why the situation changed the character
Exactly.
or an end.
No, I mean, in a way, it will be the same thing, but right now, what we're gonna be doing is how did the character change after this main event? Okay? So, for example, I don't know, let's say that going back to the story that I have, Fulgencio. So, maybe Fulgencio had a day, such a stressful day that he had a heart attack. So that's where I stop. So Ale is gonna take my story, and based on that, Ale is gonna come up with something saying, for example, okay, since Fulgencio had a heart attack, I wanna write how Fulgencio decided to go to, I don't know, anger management, for example, anger management classes. And after that, he went to this, or he did this and this and this, so he wouldn't get so stressed out in the future. Of course, you're gonna write it with more details, like nicer and better, and like a story. But in a way, that's the idea, that you're gonna use the last thing that the author wrote, and you're gonna use it to explain how this helped the character evolve. Okay? Clear?
Yes, teacher.
Okay, I hope so. Okay, right now we're gonna have another around 30 minutes to work on that. Do you think that's gonna be enough? Okay, let's have those 30 minutes, and then after that, we're gonna move to the last stage. We'll see what that is about. Okay, so go ahead and send your stories to the person that you have to. And again, if you need any help or if you have any question or concern, feel free to let me know. Were you able to finish with the second part?
Yes, teacher.
Okay, that's wonderful. Yes,
Teacher?
everybody, tell me.
I just need like 2 minutes to
Okay.
finish.
Okay, no worry. That's fine.
Teacher, I think I finished.
Okay, that's great. So in that case, guys, now I need you to go ahead and send back the story to the person, okay? With the part that you included. So for example, let me go about, you know the person that you send it to? So for example, Ale, you send it to Faudi, so Faudi, you're gonna send Ale back his story, including the part that you wrote, okay? And so on and so forth. Ale, you're gonna send it to Tani, and well, you know the rest, okay? What we're gonna be doing now is the following. As you know, here we not only work on writing, in this case teamwork, but also we also write or work on the speaking part. So now you will record your story using Flipgrid, okay? So you're gonna be recording using video and everything, and I'm expecting something mind-blowing. We have read out loud many times, we have watched a lot of videos, we have done a lot of things with that. So you know how a story that is recorded sounds like. So I'm expecting something like that, something where you go ahead, where you make me feel in the story, okay? Where you can use your rising and falling intonation and play with it, play with words, play with emotions, play with everything that we have seen and we have tried to work with all the way up to now, okay? So everything that we have done is leading up to this specific moment in life. Okay, so this will be the first thing. And yeah, that's it. We're gonna work on that, you're gonna record it, and then we have a fourth stage. But let's work on this one first. For these, I have already created a topic directly within Flipgrid or Flip, which is the name that it has now. This topic, you can access it by clicking directly on the link that I sent here in the chat of the meeting, okay? So again, you're gonna I was gonna say resend, but that doesn't exist. So now you're going to return the story to the original writer with the enhancement at the end, and that now the original writer will record his or her story. Okay, questions, doubts, concerns? Just in case in Flipgrid, I set it up for it to be up to 10 minutes. So you don't have to last the 10 minutes. Because I don't think your stories might last 10 minutes. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. But just in case, you have up to 10 minutes for speaking, okay? Questions, comments, concerns, doubts, help needed?
Teacher,
Yes, sir.
we have to record it in this thing that its name is like the journey of the traveler, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I came up with that name.
Yeah,
Because I mean, in a way, the character that you created, it's a traveler because he's going through a lot of different situations, that stressful situations. So it's a traveler. He's swifting through life. Okay, so that's where that's a place where you have to go ahead and post it. So I'm gonna let you work on that. For that, I also thought about 30 minutes. If you need less time, that will be great. If you need 30 minutes, that's wonderful as well. Okay. But that being said, you are, I want to let you work on that. Remember, give your face, give your voice, give everything with that, because we're going to watch all of them together. Okay. That being said, I'm going to let you work on it. And of course, whatever you need, I'm going to be here. Okay. So let me go ahead and open the videos. Okay, I have them here already. Okay, so we're gonna start with Ale, followed by Tani, and followed by Fabri, which was the order in which each one of the videos was uploaded. So okay, let me go ahead and share my screen because I'm not sharing yet. Okay, here we go. Okay, there you go. Can you see my screen now?
Yes, teacher.
Awesome. Ali, you there?
Yes, teacher. Sorry, I'm going to turn the camera.
First.
Beginning story of Eleanor and Bill. Bill was just an average 16 years old teenager, and Eleanor was the name of her single mother, who raised him during the last 16 years. Well, you'll see. Bill isn't just a common teenager. In fact, he has been suffering anxiety and stress during the last few months due to a bad relationship breakup that he had. Also, because it was due to that relationship that he ruined some of his best friendships, and after all, he ended up alone. The issue, well, has only get stronger while the days have passed. For the last days, Bill had been thinking about talking to his mother of his problems, but most of the times he ended up with the same sentence. She already have enough problems. I should be able to solve this all by myself. And just like that, the days passed. And with the days, the situation kept getting worse and worse, constantly and every day. He only had that issue on his mind, and it started to drain all his energy. But even on that moment, he didn't want to talk about it to his mother. Everything stayed like that until one day, when everything seemed pretty normal, he had a stress attack. And after that, he was unable to keep away the truth from his mother, Eleanor. After that happened, she talked to him about options, and he began to think that with a psychologist, everything would start to be better for him again. After a few days, the date of his first visit to the psychologist was getting closer, and he thought that life was smiling to him again. It all stayed like this until one weird day when he received a call from a number that he didn't have registered. When he answered the call, an old man told him, "Am I talking to Bill?" He seemed very surprised and said that it was him. And after that, the man on the phone said, "I am very sad to tell you that your mother suffered a car accident a few hours ago. Now she's on the Penn Lane Central Hospital waiting for the surgery. But the situation is critical. We really need you to come here." He just started to remember and feel everything he had been feeling before he went to the psychologist, but 2 times more. So he just started to cry and imagine his mother dying. He took a taxi to the hospital, and when he arrived there, he asked for his mother, very nervous and anxious to find her. Well, unfortunately, there was a nurse that approached him and told him the bad news. His mother had just died. He did nothing but throw down to the floor. The nurse could imagine how he was feeling. It was so sad seeing that kid there, in front of everyone, looking with terrible silence, that the only thing that could be heard was the boy's lamentations after being told that his mother passed out. The nurse immediately hugged him and promised to help him with everything she was able to. Time went by, and it was very interesting to see how the story ended, with the nurse Monica looking after the orphan kid and helping him with his internal problems. When he could overcome them, something that hadn't been very easy, he decided to study psychology. Instead of just giving up and giving excuses, but dedicating all his effort and help to save other people's lives. Doing it in honor of his biological mother and Monica, the two women that gave all their love to him.
Hey, Ale. I liked it. I think it's pretty cool. And I like that you were giving me this kind of how can I say this feeling that when he said he was in the hospital, it was very like kind of Edgar Allan Poe. I don't know if that's what you were going for, but that's kind of the feeling that I was getting. Very like dark, very like that was like what I got from it. So I think it's really cool. And I like that you also Like you were playing with different types of intonation, because you were able to catch my attention. So I would say it was pretty good. Okay, let's go with Tani.
What nobody talks about being a dancer. Jasmine, a teenager, probably like you, who was at some point in your life. She had always wanted to be a dancer. She dreamed of it. And don't get me wrong, one day she was. But her whole life has changed since she made that decision. September 20. Jasmine gets up in the morning like any other, turns on her cell phone, goes to one of those social networks, and the first thing that appears was a big poster that talks about a dance company. She decides to do the auditions to enter the dance company, since it had been something that she longed for. Many people don't realize everything that being a dancer implies. Being a dancer is not just dancing to a song and that's it. But that is something that only those who experience it realize that it exists. And that was the case with Jasmine. As the days, weeks, and years passed, Jasmine realized that there was a factor in her that made her not enjoy dancing as much as she used to: stress. Jasmine tried to learn all the choreographies perfectly, and the worst thing she could do was compare with the other dancers, with her classmates. She compared her body, her movements, her expressions, everything that made her unique, and that was killing her little by little. She put a lot of pressure on her raw process as a dancer. She couldn't accept making mistakes and didn't understand that we all have different processes. Until there came a point where everything was exploding little by little. She began to forget her choreographies. She cried before and after each practice. She no longer ate well, and the only thing she thought was to keep going so as not to disappoint others. She no longer enjoyed what she once loved to do as much, and sadly, because she couldn't handle all the stress that was building up, she collapsed in the middle of a practice. A few minutes after she collapsed, all the other dancers, her beloved friends for years, started running to help her. But there was really nothing they could do about it, so they decided to call an ambulance to be able to help her. They all went to the hospital with her because even if she saw them as rivals, they all saw her as a friend. When Jasmine woke up, she saw all the other dancers on the place, waiting for her to open her eyes. And when she understood the situation, a lot of feelings she had on a dark corner inside her came out. She began to cry in an unstoppable way, and all her friends got closer to give her a hug. When that happened, she told the what she was going to do now, which was leaving the dance company and focusing on herself, at least for a while. But we know that it was permanent. A few days after she left the hospital, she decided to make it official. She went to the place, said goodbye, at all the other dancers and officially left. After that, she started to seek of psychological help that at the end helped her to get over all of the problems and finally to become a better and healthier person.
The continuing story of
Hey guys, so super quick in regards to Tani, I liked it. I liked that it looked very relatable, which was one of the ideas. So that was really cool. And I also liked that you were speaking slower. So you were trying to open your mouth a little bit more when you were producing each one of the different words and different sounds. So which in a way helped a lot with the enunciation because we were able to like understand better what you were saying. The story in general was really good. I really liked it. And again, it was really relatable, which I think it's a really good characteristic of a good story. Because if it's relatable, then it could be something that could happen to me. So that's why I would continue reading. So really good job. Now let's go for last but not least, Fabri. Let's see this masterpiece that Fabri created.
Good night, everyone. Hope you're doing great. Today I would like to tell you a very interesting story that has like a tragic plot, but teaches us that we have to remain positive, even though we face some bad situations in life. So the story begins like this. On a windy morning in the very overcrowded Bristol city, Michael Turner was waking up again. Tired, of course, because of his busy life as a lawyer, but always happy with his positive face. Then he went directly through the window to breathe the fresh air, looking at the sky that was giving the impression that it was going to rain all the day. As every day, he was driving to the court of the town to attend the first case, defending Carol Sanders, a very impatient customer who was always looking for some ways to stress Michael. But the day went by as usual until something very tragic happened. He received a call from his mother saying that her husband just had a stroke and he received a strong blow when he fell to the ground. She was very scared, of course, and wasn't able to get to the hospital as she didn't know how to drive their car. Immediately, Michael stood from the chair. He didn't think it twice, and he asked for permission, telling them the inconvenience that occurred. As soon as he was trying to turn the car on, he realized that the place in which he parked it was completely full, and he couldn't get out of there. He immediately called a taxi because there was no time to ask the cabman to move the cars. The streets were full of cars, as now it was rush hour. At the time, he was talking to his mother, telling her to calm down, and that he was trying to get there as soon as possible. But he had some problems. He couldn't resist his mother's tears when he was in the taxi, so he just decided to tell the cabman to open the door. He was going to run straight to his parents' house. He forgot his laptop in the taxi, but there was no time to return back. He finally arrived home and drove his fainted father to the hospital. Again, there was a lot of traffic there. The cry of his mother and his customer calling a lot of times to the phone made him feel so stressed until the moment he saw an ambulance that was very close to them. It was like the hero, but then he just got out of his car and asked for some help. But the ambulance was going through the hospital with a very delicate patient. He hadn't experienced such a tragic situation like this in life. He couldn't believe that. Then he called the 911 line and asked for an ambulance to get to the place. The ambulance arrived really quickly, but they couldn't assist him there. They didn't have the necessary equipment, so they had to go directly to the hospital with just one companion. That was, of course, his mother. He was there in the middle of the city, like with the rain that was waiting exactly for that moment to appear, and, well, he seldom put on a sad face. But this was a terrible event, and he just started to cry and feel very frustrated. How is it possible that someone's life can have such a terrible change in a short time? Well, Michael Turner was known for his great personality, of course, and for being such a cheerful person. But in a single day, so many misfortunes happened to him that he, little by little, lost hope. Unfortunately, Michael's father died, and for a long time he wondered what would have happened if he had been able to arrive on time, if he could have been able to give this last goodbye, to say the last goodbye to his father. What would have happened if there hadn't been so many cars that day? What would have happened if that ambulance had gone empty? He blamed himself on a daily basis for a situation that unfortunately he couldn't control, and even daily came to think that if they had arrived faster, they could have saved his life. He and his mother had to attempt therapy to get over the death of his father, and luckily today, Michael manages to be the same smiling and happy person as before. So that was the tragic story. Hope you enjoyed it, and well, that was interesting to see how we can recover from a very sad situation. Even Michael, that was having so many bad problems, he could, with his positive face, return back to his life.
Okay, Fadi, that was really cool. I like that you were going for this kind of Sherlock Holmes type of vibe in a way. Like it sounded a little bit like that, and I think that was great. I do have to compliment you on being able to really catch attention, because remember that when we started last semester, one of my requests to you was to start playing with intonation because it was sounding a little bit flat. I'm very happy to see that it sounds way different from that time. Now, because now I was actually listening to you, it sounded super clear, and I love that. I was able to follow the complete story, and not only sounding clear, but since you're already tapping a little bit into like some intonation patterns that you were not tapping before, I could actually like be more interested in the story. So I think that it's a great thing to have. So I do have to compliment you for that. Overall, guys, I think that you all did an amazing job. How did you feel working, or not working, but well, yes, in a way working with somebody else's story, coming and imposing in a way your ending? or not the ending, but like how do you, the way that you thought the character was going to evolve, how did it feel?
Well, I don't know. I feel good. I think it was interesting growth in their stories.
Do you think that in this case, I think Ale was the one who wrote your ending. Do you think that Ale was able to match what you were going for? Like the ending that Ale gave you, well, the ending that Ale gave you, was it in a way what you had in mind?
Well, I
It looks
really
like a
don't
no.
know, but honestly, I love it. I love when I read the end. I love it. What Ale wrote. Honestly,
Okay, no, but that's really cool because you were actually impressed. That's really cool. Okay, Faudi and Ale. Well, the first question, how did you feel giving your baby, meaning your piece of writing that you came up with, to another person for this person to finish it? How did it feel?
Well, I actually think that when I got like the second part of Fabric like back, I was actually impressed because I think like he captured like the same feeling I was trying to give the thing. And I think I would have done like a similar ending, so I really like it.
That's really cool. Faudi, how about you?
Yes, for me, it's like something interesting to see how well they continue the story. In my case, Tani that ended it, and it's interesting to see well how she has like the creativity to do something interesting that I don't know that would happen, but it is like giving this a scenario is kind of exciting to see it or imagining it.
Yes, I completely agree with you, Faudi. Okay, guys, I'm happy that you have fun with it, and I like the result that you got. So as you can see, working in a way in a team or working with another person can be really fun. So great job. I really liked it. For this coming Thursday, get ready because we're gonna be mesmerized by the presentation of the one and only Ale. So this is gonna be the speaking session for Ale. And also, just in case, well, I already sent you the syllabus. I apologize. I thought I had sent it before, but I realized that I hadn't. So I just sent it to you so you can have everything already mapped of all the activities that we're going to be having, the topics, and also when we're going to have something that is summative and something that it is not summative, okay? So that being said, I don't know if you have any questions, any concerns, any doubts for me? Nope. Okay, with that being said, I hope you have an amazing night. I don't know what's happening with me. Take good care of you, and I'll see you this coming Thursday.
Good night,
thank
teacher.
you, teacher.
Enjoy.
Good
Bye-bye.
night.